This is Ronald, former teacher who used to spend his lunch breaks not eating, but cooking. And by cooking, I mean knocking doors. And one of those doors bought him something that the classroom could never give him: freedom. Ronald loved teaching, but he hated the ceiling. The low paycheck, the lack of respect, the amount of hours he worked, lack of ownership. He joined the SubTo community. I challenged him personally to knock 100 doors. He started going out on his lunch break because it was the only amount of time he had. He was working his full-time job and then going home to his wife, who was about to give birth to their first baby. During his door knocking sessions, which were always slotted during lunch, he took the diligence and the discipline to go out and knock doors that were in pre-foreclosure. As he was knocking these doors, he had no idea that his first deal that he would ever do would replace an entire year's of his $42,000 salary. Ronald now has quit his job as a teacher and now has had a second child. Real estate has given him everything. He has opened up every door you can imagine and now has gone full time in real estate investing. Here's what was interesting about him is he grew up in a religious background, and so making money was almost looked at as a bad thing. And then he started realizing a lot of people that are pastors don't actually have the ability to take care of their own family. And he ran into Bible verses that were like, heaven doesn't look well on men that can't take care of and support their family. And he was like, there's got to be more to this. And he tried a handful of other things. He was always a hustler and a grinder, trying to do more things and expand. And then he ran into me. And when he ran into the SubTo community, he literally was like, I'm going to join the community because worst case scenario, I make one payment and I never make another payment if I don't get a deal. Then he met a handful of the leaders here, Nathan being one of them. Within like a week, he goes, why would I ever leave this place? And because of those relationships, the adhesion or the glue that really like anchored him into the community, he didn't leave. And he ended up taking a couple of months to get that first deal. The problem that he dealt with was mostly mindset, because even though he was consistent, he would knock a couple of doors, and then if he didn't get an answer, he wouldn't knock a door for another 4 or 5 days. He would just kind of soft quit, if that made sense. Then he'd come back into a Zoom, somebody would reignite him, he'd go back out there. So he was consistent, but he wasn't like every single day. And I think it's a really good thing to highlight to the audience members that he wasn't knocking 5 hours a day. He was knocking 45 minutes 2 or 3 times a week. Got this first deal, has now done dozens of deals. Now he's full-time in real estate. It has been for over a year. Afforded him not only to have that first child, but afforded him to have his second child and hopefully many, many more. The limitations are gone. The mindset is now, how can I make $1 million a year? And I think that that really is the triumph, is the ability to see yourself in conditions that you couldn't see yourself in a year prior.
Hey, I'm Ronald Pauleus. I was born and raised in Miami, Florida. Moved here to Oklahoma City about 5 years ago to pastor on the south side of Oklahoma City. I'm an assistant there. Got married a year after I moved here, met my wife Joanna at a Christian conference. And so life kind of went going. And I ended up, Joanna and I became school bus drivers because we wanted to bring in some income. I was an associate pastor, not making much. We're not rich out here. Joanna got pregnant that school year. She barely could finish the school year that we started driving school buses. And so she made it through, was super strong. And so that summer came and I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. I had to renew my contract with Oklahoma City Public Schools. And I really didn't want to do that. Wasn't making that much. Wanted to provide more for my family. And so something unique that happened was during my school bus driving, I had a principal picked up students for. He had struck up conversation with me. I was like, hey man, what do you do? Where are you from? Etc. Through the process of conversation, it came out that I have a master's in educational leadership. He metaphorically slapped me and said, why are you driving a school bus? We need teachers. Fast forward, that same summer where I was making that decision whether to renew a contract or do something else, he called, said he wanted to have me as a teacher at his school. He only had positions for geometry specifically and science. And I said, I'm more of an English teacher, geometry is kind of a little bit too hard for me. And so he referred me out to another principal. They had a position for English open. We chatted, had conversations. I was able to secure that job. That was my highest paying job up until that point. I think it was $42,000 a year. They gave me a little few $100 boost because of my master's. It took me 9 months to get that. Had 3 months off during the summer, but I still desired more for my family. Some of you guys, you might have that feeling. That might resonate with you. And so Joanna took the back seat. Our plan has always been to get her to be a stay-at-home mom or making that transition. I went on YouTube University. How many of you have been there? You're probably watching that right now. We got on there researching how to get into real estate, service businesses, etc. Found out about wholesaling. So what I was able to do during that time was really hone in. January 2024, my wife was expecting on the 6th of January. She gave birth on the 13th. And with winter, with cold, and with the fire in my chest to provide more for my family, I said on January 1st, 24, I'm gonna provide. I'm gonna do something to get some wholesale checks, to get into real estate and to make that progress. And so I did. I literally was at someone's living room locking up a contract on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I had school off and was trying to get the progress going. During my YouTube searches, I came across Morby on SubTo, and I was just devouring all of his content. I mean, rich. You could tell the guy was a wealth and is a wealth of knowledge. And so I said to myself, okay, when I get the money, that's the community I'm gonna join. And what was not told to me was how much it took for me to really network in this space. It was about networking with senior living people. If I had put in the time, it would have worked, but I just didn't realize how long it'd take. I was on a different time span. I really wasn't on a 3-year time span to build relationships. I was on I need something to happen in 5 months, 3 months. Before I joined SubTo, I closed 2 deals by myself, got that first proof of concept. And I'll say this, guys, it doesn't matter how much you make on your first deal. I was $10 shy of $5,000 on my first one. As long as you get the proof of concept, that gives you more momentum than a certain dollar amount. That's when I made the decision to join SubTo. Got in, started networking. Pace says, network with 100 people in SubTo. And then he says, do something for 90 days. So many people get fixated on shiny objects and they chase rabbits and squirrels. And the reality is you really need to focus on something for you to realize the fruit that you can harvest from it. Too many people plant seeds here, and they're totally in a different garden, and then when it's time to reap harvest, they're not there because they're planting somewhere else. And so I networked with Nathan Yurkis and was able, for 90 days, we put in the work, was able to knock a door that totally changed my life. In fact, we're standing in front of that door right now.
All right, Ronald, tell us the story of the deal, brother.
In this wind?
Yeah, you're right. It's kind of windy. Where should we go?
Let's go to the office.
All right, let's go. So on this deal, you're door knocking. This door actually never answered, correct?
Yeah.
Why not?
The owner was deceased.
Okay, so you go knock on the door. Obviously it's vacant, or you knew it was vacant before you knocked the door.
I didn't this time, no. Knocked it, left the paper plate, got that from you, put my number on it, put my name on it. I kept coming back because I didn't know it was vacant. I saw mail piling up. It didn't click for me at the moment. And so I would see my paper plate, and then other times I wouldn't. So I'd leave another one, I'd leave a sticky note. Later in the story, you'll find why those were missing. But it was vacant and no one was living there.
Okay, so you kept going back. How did you actually initially get in contact with the seller?
So we did some skip tracing. We used True People Search and different platforms like that. Got a hold of a son-in-law. They made a GoFundMe and a LinkedIn because there was a loved one that passed away. They were raising money for, couldn't afford the funeral. Reached out to them through those 2 different platforms. And no answer, no response. And I was just puzzled on what I should do. And so I just kept digging. Others would have just counted as dead and just
everybody
put it away.
Everybody would have quit already. The second you have to go back a second time, this is the thing about people who are like, I haven't done a deal yet. It's like, no, you literally just gave up.
Yeah, literally.
That's it. Now knowing what you know now, it's been a while since you did this deal, but when somebody says, hey, well, Ronald, I'm still looking for my first deal, what's your thought?
Have you knocked the doors?
They haven't done a single thing. Or they knocked one door and they said, I'm trying, right? Type of thing. Meanwhile, you go back to this house multiple times, then you go find the GoFundMe, you then reach out through GoFundMe. Most people would go, oh, that's not appropriate, which it is. It is. So how did you get a hold of them?
So I kept digging. I found her Instagram. And Pace, this was a business Instagram. So the guy's number was right there.
Wow, okay.
So I literally called him. I was like, hey. He answered, had a conversation. He was real standoffish after I mentioned what I was reaching out for to help with. He said he had a lawyer that I was helping, and I was like, okay. I didn't really know what to say at that point.
Yeah.
I didn't have the reps in. I didn't have the conversations yet to have the arrows to be able to put in my bow to shoot. And so I said, okay, well, I'll follow up with you because I know it's in foreclosure. Some time passes. I had conversations with Nathan Yurkis, who ended up buying the deal. And I followed back up and I said, okay, this house is in foreclosure. I don't know what you're trying to figure things out with your lawyer, but you're probably gonna lose a house before you figure things out because the foreclosure train has already started, and the guy just opened up. It turned out the lawyer was actually helping with something unrelated to the house. There was the guy's wife has a brother who's a minor, if you will, mentally. So they were trying to get guardianship, working throughout all those needles. And it turns out they didn't have money for a probate lawyer, barely for this lawyer.
Wow.
We jumped in, had a conversation, said, hey, if we could help cover the probate lawyer bill, make sure you don't lose this property to foreclosure. They didn't even want the house. Every weekend they'd come, get things from the house, because they live 2 hours away or so, pack stuff up they wanted to keep. They'd see my paper plate and like, who is this guy? Didn't launch it or whatever. And so we said, hey, what if we hire you haul, got some manpower, and helped you guys pack in a day? Got you the items you wanted to keep. Their parents were big readers, so they had books they wanted to keep. There was a nice little furnace that they wanted to keep that was precious to them. And we just got over all those barriers because they were overwhelmed. They had a 2,500 square foot house or something that they had to unload every weekend.
And haul it 2 hours one way.
Yeah, we literally had the conversations, got a hold of the bunnies, saw where the most needed help was and the pain was, and just provided value.
So you brought a probate attorney to the table. Did you guys have to pay the probate attorney up front?
No, he was creative enough to get paid at closing.
That's cool. So you guys didn't have to come up with money out of your pocket. A lot of people don't realize how awesome that is. So you guys get the deal, you get under contract. Do you remember what you bought it for originally?
I just remember there was a $30K HELOC on this. No mortgage, just a HELOC. The couple, they were ecstatic to get $30K in their pocket. This is a $300K ARV.
Yeah.
And so they were ecstatic because remember there was a minor involved, other health complications.
And they have bills coming their way from this person passing away. They don't have the money for it.
Yeah. They're like, there's credit card bills we don't even want to deal with.
Yeah.
Thankfully, there weren't liens against the house regarding those bills. And so what we ended up doing was we covered the HELOC, gave them 30 on top of that. The wholesale fee was 100. I walked away with 40% of that.
That's so crazy. So Nathan bought the deal or he wholesaled it?
He bought it. So what we did partnership-wise was gave me a wholesale fee as if I was bringing him the deal.
Yeah.
Even though we were working together. Yeah. And he gave it as a traditional 75% minor. And so the wholesale fee was 100K. He kept his 60 in the deal because he kept it as a rental.
Makes sense.
And I got the 40.
I freaking love it. Could you have done the deal without Nathan?
No. He helped me mindset-wise.
Yeah.
It took 3 months to close because of the probate. And this is our first probate deal together. Just keep going. I'm still knocking doors. I'm still like, this is a 40K deal. My wife already knows I'm gonna quit my job. Like what's
all the stress.
And he helped me mindset-wise. He helped me skip tracing-wise. I mean, I had all the fire and the energy, and he helped hone it in. Like, let's do foreclosures. Because I was doing some for sale by owners in a town almost 2 hours away because I was scared to be in my backyard.
Interesting. Mindset.
And so, yeah. And so he was like, let's do it together. Let's do it here. And being in a SubTo community, you've helped so much because you've said, focus on something for 90 days. And so I joined SubTo and said, okay, I'm gonna do pre-foreclosures for 90 days. I'll work it long enough to see if I can harvest something. If it isn't what I wanna harvest, I'll go somewhere else. And I got a 40K check. And I was like, you know what?
I'm gonna keep going. Okay, so how many days? I know you said I'm gonna do it for 90 days, which is what I tell everybody. Like, you haven't even started trying until you've hit 90 days. Like, you don't even have any data to know what you did or didn't do. Yeah. So go do anything and everything for 90 days, and then you can pivot. So you chose 90 days. Did you get your first deal within that 90 days once you committed to pre-foreclosures?
So I joined SubTo in February. I started networking and met up with Nathan in March. We started door knocking in April. I got the deal under contract around May.
Okay.
I think it was in that 30-day or 90-day time frame I did get my first deal because You
got the first contract.
Yeah.
But then probate took a couple of months.
And it closed in August. So it was outside of that 90 days.
Now, you were obviously knocking doors at the same time. You're like, I'm not gonna quit. I'm gonna keep freaking going. Yeah. Because one, like, this deal could fall apart. Right? Number one, it could fall apart. Anything could happen. Two, why empty your pipeline when you already have momentum going, right? Now, fast forward, what are you guys working on now?
So Nathan's gone off to bigger and better things. He's doing business acquisitions and all that. I've stayed in the single family space. And so my goal has always been, this was before I joined SubTo, was to get 30 rentals before I turned 30. So that's in 2 years or so. I didn't really have a game plan on that. I was
Well,
gonna.
you just closed your first rental yesterday.
Yeah.
That's so freaking great.
Yeah, since joining SubTo. I heard about bigger pockets. I thought I was gonna burn my way to that.
Yeah.
And then I realized, actually, if I do this is gonna speed that up tremendously. Creatively, SubTo, and the deals I'm getting pre-foreclosure wise instead of the MLS.
Oh,
you know
yeah,
what
of course.
I mean?
And you know how to negotiate directly with sellers.
Oh, belly to belly sales. Yeah.
You go through the probate process on this deal, right? I imagine this family is like ecstatic. You're solving this problem, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they felt like it was a weight off their shoulders.
Yeah.
They didn't have money for probate. We told them we'd get a U-Haul and load them up in one day.
Which you
not
did.
10, yeah, which we did, not 10 weekends, in one day. We got them a furnace they wanted to always get, the books, it was like Christmas Day for them.
Right. Now, you get that $40,000 check. How did that feel? Did you get a wire or a check?
I got a check. I physical check.
That's the way to do it. So you got the check. Did you show it to your wife and let her like hold it and stuff?
I went home, was like, babe. So our family sings the doxology a lot. We did that yesterday when we closed on a rental, and we did that with that one. It's like, Lord, like, thank you so much. Like this is crazy. I mean, even my wife, right? She's been through the ups and downs. She's seen me in the clouds. She's seen me down in the dumps when the deal died. She saw me when Nathan called and said, hey, they just called me and said the mom had a whole bunch of credit owed, and that might kill the deal. It's like 60 or 90K worth of
she sees you
credits.
go all the way down, like, oh my gosh.
When it finally closed, we both are like surreal. Kind of like yesterday. We got our first rental, and the day kind of kept going. It was like, wait.
Let us absorb this for like 5 minutes or whatnot, right?
And so we're just ecstatic. And I told my wife a big dream I have next year. I want to see if I could hit $1 million in fix and flips. And so I'm like networking, building relationships to do that. You know what she told me, Pace?
What?
She said, I believe you can do it.
Wow, bro. Isn't that crazy? $1 million in fix and flip. I mean, tonight we've got a meetup. I wonder if we can find some people that will sell you a deal. I could fund it for you. Do you have a crew?
Yeah, I have some I'm networking with. I'm closing on one. I'm gonna fix and flip tomorrow.
We should see if we could find you a crew tonight.
Okay.
Find a deal tonight.
Okay.
And I can fund it tonight, all today at the meetup.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's go.